So before we actually go ahead and start decorating the entire cake, I did want to go ahead and state that I went ahead and cut both the tops of our chocolate cake off. I've rolled out our fondant so we can start placing it on top. I also have our different colored fondant here, and I have our spatula 1 and 2 to go ahead and smooth over the fondant. And prior to putting this on, I'm going to go ahead and slather it in the buttercream so it can be used as a cementing agent. Prior to moving forward, I did want to go ahead and show that I took the buttercream, completely covered all of the cake, and then took our spatula as well as a little bit of water to smooth it out so that we can go ahead and put our fondant over, which I'm using the technique originally showed in the video to go ahead and lay over, because I did notice that it is a really good way to go ahead and transfer, otherwise it seemed like it was cracking. Here is my fondanted cake. It took me 6 tries to roll out and get this. I kept running into the issue where my fondant kept cracking, so I had to look up how to fix that. So I added a little bit of shortening in there to do that, and then once I laid it over top, it still cracked. So I ended up having to take it off, and when I took it off, pretty much all the buttercream came off with it, but I was able to go ahead and knead it even with the buttercream to still create the fondant layer. If you see any speckling on it whatsoever, that would be a result of just tiny pieces of the cake that came off when I took off the fondant originally. But after several tries of trial and error, I was finally able to actually come up with a nice product. I've gone ahead and added all of our polka dots, and now that that's done, I'm going to take the remainder of the fondant and put it into our braid for the base. So this is our final product. It's the cake with all of our polka dots as well as our fondant braid. It was a lot harder than I thought. I definitely have to give more credit to people who actively use fondant. The cracking was by far the hardest part. I definitely did seem that it needed a little bit of extra shortening, just because no matter how much I needed it, it still continued to crack. I also noticed that even now it's not cracking, which is definitely a difference compared to before I added the shortening. In terms of like the decorations from the polka dots to the braid, those were simpler than going ahead and wrapping the cake, but still quite hard just because of how much the fondant didn't necessarily want to work, in the fact that it kept cracking. Overall, a lot harder than I thought it would be, but definitely a learning experience, and will definitely come in handy moving forward with making cakes.